at once. Oh my gosh.
There's a reason we do these things at certain times.
Exactly. Yes.
We're going to capture Batty Maddie.
It's 9 p.m. somewhere.
That is fair.
Yeah.
Not here.
Unless you're listening to the podcast right now at 9:00 p.m., it's not 9 p.m. here.
It is not.
Yeah. But it could be there. The listener could be hearing us at 9 p.m. at night right now, because we don't have any control over when listeners listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Maddie on No Coffee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're jumping in again. I'm going to surprise Maddie. Hello and welcome to Across the Desk. My name is Elizabeth Plouffe, and I am the host of Across the Desk. And we are continuing with our Autistic Rambler with the ever-loving Maddie. Now, Batty Maddie today.
Actually, it's more the scrambler, the Autistic Scrambler.
Oh, this could be good.
Yes.
Brought to you Friday morning. I'm actually outside today.
Yeah, brought to you without the letter C, which is for coffee.
So what we discovered is 10 a.m. plus no kofifi equals Batty Maddie and Fern Gully. So
yeah,
this is interesting. What I wanted to, and I'm surprising Maddie with a topic today, because we usually do a planning session. I just stop it. We just did the Home Alone situation. We usually do a planning session and we kind of take a look at what's going on and whatever, but it's also the summertime. So for a timestamp, it's August. I'm outside. Birds are, I'm looking at my garden and, yay. So you might hear some rumblings in the background and it'll add some je ne sais quoi.
Yep.
So I wondered if we could talk about pink. And Maddie then went on to a variety of, which is when I just start pressing record, because then we could have an intro outtake reel at the same time. So I recently saw the Barbie movie.
Okay.
And here's the funny thing. The Barbie movie, I know, Maddie's also in pink. And I have my pink Kofifi juice, which... Oh, and
coffee.
And Mrs. And my water is also pink. So why are we talking about pink? Well, here's the thing. Purple phone. You are all the hues that pink could be. So before I saw the Barbie movie, I had a little bit of a, do I wanna, whatever. But my daughter invited me. And anytime my daughter invites me, I'm like, woo! Because she's, we're very lucky in our house. Maddie is as well, that we still have adult kids that want to spend time with us or have to spend time with us because of economic reasons, but we still enjoy being together. Thank you, Canada, for the current economic situation. Woohoo! COVID. So we went and saw the Barbie movie, and I had no expectations because here's why. Growing up, I was given dolls, and I never knew what to do with them. Never had any clue what to do with them. But the role that I was being put into was taking care of dolls, because that's what girls do. I would take them and I'd be like, that's great. And then they'd end up in the back of a closet somewhere. Because I'd be like, I don't understand. And even Barbies, I never really... There was no role play with Barbie. I don't even know what you're supposed to do with the Barbie other than use it as I think the original intent by the inventor, Ruth is her first name and her last name is escaping me.
Last name.
I know. That's pretty crazy. Was to replace the paper dolls that her daughter was playing with, which were tearing and ripping all the time. And so she wanted a real doll that they could dress up with and what have you. I never understood that either. So I kept being given all of these stereotypical feminine girl-focused things and never got it. I was not that girl that planned their wedding at 10 years old. I was not that girl that had the names picked out of the kids. None of that. I am cisgender. I am heterosexual. It's nothing to do with, that not being an option for me or whatever. It just wasn't my thing. And quite frankly, watching my mom work so hard, I was like, why would I want to do that? Like, what about that is appealing? Cleaning up puke and cleaning the house and doing all the groceries and kind of getting slagged for it and whatever. So I kind of avoided pink. I avoided pink. I avoided anything girly. I had a really hard time putting on anything pink, taking on any of those stereotypical characteristics, because to me that equated weakness. Because I watched what happened to my mom, and my parents, divorced. My dad was not abusive. I'm not saying anything of that, but she always had to put herself last. And it was always about what the family needed and what the family wanted and what my dad needed her to do or what we needed her to do or whatever. What about that says, yes, please? Like, nothing. Then I saw the Barbie movie. And I was like, okay, I get what it was supposed to be about. I get what Barbie was supposed to do. I get what the intention of Barbie was, which was to show you don't have to play with dolls. Barbie can be a doctor and a president and a lawyer and an astronaut and a scientist. And I walked away from that movie going, got to get me more pink in my life.
Here I am.
Here you are.
Here I am.
Thank goodness and gollywogs for you. But what that got me thinking about was how many people who are on the spectrum deny their pink, right? Deny what feels right to them, or masking, or like all of those things.
Yeah.
And how do we encourage people? If Barbie's your thing, go for it. Like, Ocha Bodiola. As long as you're not hurting anybody. Now, yeah. I will warn everybody right now that I am absolutely, bar none, phobic about wasps. So if you hear me screaming, it's because a wasp has come near me, and I have a complete Miss Universe girly freak out if that happens, because they're jerks and I don't like them.
Uh-huh.
So that's what got me thinking about pink this morning, because I love the fact. So Maddie wears pink colored glasses for a physical reason, but does it because it helps with light sensitivity and what have you. And more, you've been wearing pink tops and pink everything.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Okay. So back as a child, I was an interesting child, but I loved playing house. I had Cabbage Patch dolls. We never really got into Barbie. My sister was somebody who really didn't like the girly stuff either. But we loved Cabbage Patch dolls. We loved doing playing house and doing all kinds like tea parties. I understand now why, because I really more. I've said this before. I've never felt male in my life. I've just never. You've never fit. And all of my friends, almost I can count on one hand how many guy friends I've had, but almost all my friends growing up were girls. My sister's friends or my friends, that's who I hung up with, because I was more comfortable doing stuff with them. Now, but I had a dad who was very much he had his idea of what boys should do and what girls should do, and neither my sister and I never really met that, but it was more of an issue for me.
Poor dad.
So
Dad was having a struggle. He was on the struggle bus.
God, yeah. So I loved the color pink and purple, and I loved and lighter hues. So I loved helping my sister with clothes. My mom doing this. I didn't realize this, but I was everybody's gay best friend, because everybody, girls and everybody would come to me asking my opinion about colors, about like what fit, what not. But
You're my gay best friend.
I personally didn't wear stuff because it was sort of, I don't know how, every slur that you can think of got thrown at me as a kid. And
Why? We've talked about this a bit before.
Yeah, we did. This is one of the first, like, I think it's the second or third podcast we did. We talked about this. I did not present well as a boy. I preferred doing things that were more feminine. And so I was called everything. I'm not going to repeat all the slurs because I just don't want to. But so we're talking about masking. There's a certain aspect of like the way I present, and certainly like the colors I wear, and my favorite colors that I would tell people about. They really were masked even from me for a long time until like the last 7 years or so, 7-8 years ago, where I started wearing pink and I started wearing purple again, like a lighter purple, because these really were my favorite colors. I felt more that, you know what, I'm sick and tired of people of people saying what I should be and what guys should be like. And I gave arguments to people sometimes in that 25-year period where I didn't present pink as much, because I love that. I would say, do you know that there was a time where pink was something that guys wore and blue was something that girls wore, and then it flipped in the 40s and 50s, and now we like, people have a tendency of thinking that what was always. And like it's the same thing with a lot of gender-based role, like, okay, we know in history that guys wore long dresses, guys wore wigs, guys we're all dressed up, guys
played all the female parts in theater when Shakespeare was
exactly
at his heyday.
So
women weren't allowed to play in the theater, so all men were drag queens.
Yes,
by the way.
So like we're stuck in this society right now, that really, up until recently, well, even now, like there's a large aspect of people that just feel that the roles that they feel have been assigned, and the presentation and the identity is always how it is now. So you're talking about tradition and history and all that, and all that's a piece of crap, because it's flexible, always has been flexible, always shifting. The things that men did and the things that women did, and we're going to talk about we're going to talk about non-binary, like that's always existed as well, but it hasn't always existed as a particular specific thing. People have been blurring gender for millennia.
So what is it that...
but now we are feeling comfortable saying, hey, it's because what you've decided as male and what you've decided as female society, like we can't be one or the other. We're a blend in between, or we're something completely different.
But Maddie, so yes, and I mean, going back to Greek times, Roman times, there was homosexuality and drag queens and all that kind of good stuff.
Yep.
And this is why I love talking to you, because I just, for the first time, I have figured out why I avoided pink and frills and whatever, and part of it was to hide being a woman, because what I saw, I mean, so I was born in the 70s. What I saw was women just getting the snot kicked out of them, and women being undervalued, and women taking, if you identified as a stereotypical female, then you weren't taken seriously and you were denied, 9 to 5. If you want to watch some movies to get some understanding of the 70s and 80s, I know One of my favorite movies ever, 9 to 5.
Yep.
But the other one is Legally Blonde.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, whenever I'm having a moment where I am questioning myself and having a hard time being a chick,
Yeah.
I go back to Elle, and I'm like, every single time I watch that movie, it's not a walk away movie. It's a solid sit down. I need some therapy. And I now have like an Elle Funko Pop to remind me that it is okay that's why we're talking about pink, because I have avoided that. I have avoided girly clothes, avoided all of that. Part of it is because I find dresses actually very uncomfortable. That whole thigh chafe situation. And why am I yanked on nylons for years. And I was like, this is like
in pockets.
Weird ass sausage casing that itches. Like I just no. But watching that Barbie movie. So here's the other piece. It's opening up conversations about perceptions, right? So I've had a number of conversations now with people who are judging the Barbie movie as something they would never enjoy, and like before they've even seen it. And there's tons of conversation online about it. And I'm like, okay, now that you and I are talking and I've recognized a couple of things, I'm wondering, does that poke at their fear? Have they seen things, or did they get made fun of for playing with Barbies or whatever? And it's not about that, folks. It's about exactly what we're talking about, which is embracing who you are and being a strong individual and doing some self-awareness. It's funny because Margot Robbie's character keeps referring to herself as stereotypical Barbie.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet. It's hard for me to get into Ottawa to see a theater. But I'm really hoping that we can do that this weekend. My youngest daughter.
You will.
Oh, I know. I wanted to see it day one. I wanted to do the whole Barbenheimer because I want to see Oppenheimer as well.
If you live closer, I swear. So for context, we both live in Ontario.
Yeah.
If you are listening from abroad, because when I look at the stats,
or as a gentleman.
If you are listening outside of Canada, Canada is a massive country. And for context, my father-in-law married a Bahamian woman. Bahamas, you can travel across in an hour. They had never lived anywhere else, had never really traveled, what have you. So to get from where I am to Maddie requires a 7-hour car ride.
Yep.
And you don't leave the province in that 7 hours.
No.
So
and when my father another 7 hours getting to the middle of the province.
Oh yeah, it's mental how big we are, and the least amount of we have 37 million people, and our land mass, to travel from one side of the country to the other, it takes 2 weeks.
Yeah,
by car.
Yeah,
minimum.
Yeah,
to get to the East Coast takes 18 hours. It takes 18 hours, people, and that's in the same country.
Now, interesting thing here, just interesting fact: Canadians measure distance by time, not by.
I know.
It's so funny.
We're so big.
Most places Americans are so find it so weird because they say, well, it's 15 miles out, and we'll say, oh, it's about 10 miles out if you don't put your foot on the gas.
Ours
it's 2 Timmys away.
It's all 45 minutes away, or 2 hours away, or 2.5 hours away.
Or we list the landmarks. And honestly, measuring how many Timmys away it is. Yeah.
100%.
I did a trip to Sudbury, and it was 9
hours to get to Sudbury from where I am.
Yeah, it was 9 Timmys, and we stopped at each one of them because it was
One Mississippi, one Mississippi, two.
I missed a Timmy. Damn it. Okay.
Miss a Timmy. Okay. So anyway, Maddie and I have some interesting. We're very lucky that Maddie travels out. I wasn't able to go last time. So we've been able to get together in person, and we have conferences that we meet at and stuff. But it's stuff like this where like I would go and see this movie again. And the fact that you and I have been having this conversation for a couple of years now about masking.
Mhm.
And one thing I'm going to posit this theory, and you can confirm or deny. So I think masking has been claimed, if you will, by the neurodivergent community, by autistic people in specific. And as I'm saying it out loud about how I dress and present and do whatever, I think I've been doing my own version of masking. And part of that, full disclosure, is I happen to have big boobs. And when you are younger, right? So I happen to get boobs early, and happen to be in a school of 13-year-old boys who were like, oh, boobs early. And they embarrassed me because they would do that bra snapping thing and they would make comments and they would do whatever. And it got to the point where for a solid year, I wore the exact same blue hoodie every single day because it was big enough, right? That it could be like dead sweltering hot outside, clean t-shirt underneath, clean everything. But that thing could have ketchup down the front of it. And there was no way, because if I walked down the hall in a t-shirt or in any kind of shirt that was even vaguely clingy, I would get comments and stares and snaps and whatever else. I'm like, well, wait, why? Why does having these invite you to make a comment about my body, invite you to touch me at all? Because no, thank you. Like, and then, oh, it's boys' behavior. It's just like, no, it's assault.
Yeah.
On a very, very small level. And I'm not minimizing anybody who's gone through.
No, it doesn't need to be minimized like this. We grew up in a generation that didn't understand that this is assault. And this generation of kids now, my kids, need to understand and know that it is assault and it is inappropriate and it is traumatic, right? And this behavior is in every way wrong / illegal, right? So you don't need to feel that you need to, like put other things, as worse. Your experience is both valid and it.
But it still happens. Here's the thing: is that I'm still in a situation.
I know it still does.
Yeah,
I have girls.
But here's the funny thing: I don't get that from men anymore because they know what's going to happen to them. Women, women will make comments about the size of my chest or the whatever, and I'd be like, jealous or none of your business. You can choose whichever one you want, but you making a comment about my boobs, don't do that, because that then forces me. Not force. That's wrong. I choose. To withdraw from that. And I don't know what it is. I just no, just no. No. And then we start the masking again.
That's not a choice. You're not choosing. I'm
reacting.
This is a subconscious or guttural reaction to what's happening. It's it's not an escape mechanism, but it's a defense mechanism. It's not you're not choosing I don't like this. Boom, your body is saying, I can't. This isn't right. I don't like this. That's a totally different kind of thing.
And that's where
therapy
pink comes in, because now I've avoided pink and I've avoided. I do like floral, a little too much, because that's the one way I feel that I can express that side of me. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's tailored and today I'm wearing pineapples, but big deal. And I'm still dealing with that reaction, and I'm still dealing with those comments. And so that got me thinking, okay, so what did I do to my son? Because I had to do a lot of behavior intervention with him as a kid, because, and Maddie and I have talked about this quite frequently, is that, that osmosis behavioral thing is not a thing. And he required intervention. Did I set him up like, it worries me that did I worry too much about what society would think of his behavior versus what was actually an issue?
Yeah.
Did I worry too much about how that reflects on me as a parent versus the reality of he was just a dumbass 14-year-old, right? So it was navigating that
Yeah.
bridge of this side is just normal 14-year-old boy bullshit, because you boys, you are trouble. I mean, you are
Oh
trouble.
yeah. Yeah. No,
And then you have
boys are just they're yeah. Okay, so all boys are idiots. Some of them survive to get past that.
and some of them require.
I can also say this thing about girls in a different way. But there's definitely,
well, you have more girls than boys in your kidlings, so
yeah. But I'm just talking about in general. I think that I think that the whole concept of giving boys testosterone is a bad idea.
no,
in
disagree.
a huge, like, let's infuse you with testosterone without fixing your brain first. Woohoo!
Yeah. And that was that. So that was a real thing. So that got me. I do worry about that. I worry if I have negatively impacted his self. I don't think so, because he's doing well, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's doing well. He just got a job, by the way. Woohoo! So he has been working. I'm gonna put this in context. So when my son was in school, they created a lot of opportunity for masking because they constantly pointed out things that I've just had to fight tooth and nail on some stuff for him. Because I was like, you need to stand down. That was just stupid.
Yeah.
And then he worked for almost 2 years or over 2 years for Dollarama. And then that was debacle. And then COVID hit, and that became a challenge all unto itself. And he was back in school doing his welding and whatever, which put another fly in the ointment. And he's just been hired on at a recycling plant to be a mechanical assistant. And they're going to support an apprenticeship for him, which is my son's going into trades. He's a welder, certified welder. This is going to be his first opportunity to put his schooling into practice. And I immediately thought, did he tell them he's autistic? Did he tell them he's got learning differences? Is something going to bite him in the ass? Right? And that's that another masking thing of, do you disclose so that some behaviors are understandable and take the risk of being judged? Or do you see if the behaviors manifest and then explain if needed? I don't want him to get fired. That's the thing. And sometimes he's 25, but he's 21.
Yeah.
Still a bit of a dumbass, and his amygdala is still bathed in testosterone. So he's still got lower impulse control, and he's a great guy. Like, don't get me wrong. I make him sound like a complete doofus. He's very independent. He's going to be a successful man. Like, I have no doubt about that.
Yep. You just got to survive your 20s.
God dang. Like, this is why parents drink. Like, you see all these pictures. Now I get it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is what I get it. And it's not because, you can't handle your own life, but you got these damn squatters living in your house.
Stop eating cheese.
Just no more cheese. Kind of GTFO. I don't want him to mask. I want him to show what he's about. I want him to show his sense of humor. I want him to be able to be him.
Yeah. But it's freaking difficult. I mean, every day we go out as autistics into a world that was not designed by or for us, and we need to find the balance between living in this world and being autistic. And I think that the more you can find the comfort and acceptance of being autistic, I think, like, honestly, that's where we start thriving. That's where our quality of life is great. And so, like, there's things we need to adapt and the world needs to accommodate. Both those two things need to be there, and I think it's why you and I do so much advocacy, right? Because it's the thriving and the real quality of life begins at the intersection of accommodations and adaptation, right? The autistic as an adult has to adapt somewhat, but we can't fully adapt unless we're somewhat accommodated. Masking is the reverse.
Okay, so here's my question. So one, brilliant. You've had like these, like, I mean, every time. But this week's been a bit of a cracker.
It really has. It has. It's just my mind's been that way.
Maybe you're clearing out the kofifi, and that's just you're allowing the brain to just expand on acid.
I do this with coffee too, so it's
valid. So it's just you.
It's the water.
Okay. It's the water. Something in the water. But adapting plus accommodation equals success. One thing that drives me bananas is individuals who have a challenge who expect the entire world to accommodate.
You gotta go halfway. Oh my God. Yeah. No.
Nobody gets away with that in this life, my friend.
When I compare myself to other people, some in my family, and like when we have the same circumstances, the same environment, but I get through it better. It's because I know that I've got to go halfway. Like if people are helping me, I got to go halfway to. I have to help them help me, because if I'm expecting people
to help you.
Exactly. Now that when you're dealing with physical disabilities, that can be much harder. But we're talking about like lifestyle,
behaviors, expectations,
like
all those kinds of things. Yeah.
If you're expecting everybody to change for you,
not gonna happen.
You're an asshole.
We went hard on the cussy pants. Wow. I agree.
I know. I didn't expect to say that, but it just occurred to me. It's like, yeah, I was gonna say a jerk one now, but no, okay. So autistics can both be autistic and be an asshole. Like it is. I don't know. It's like surprise. It's like we have got to get away from
our rating on the podcast.
I know. We got to get away from the thinking that all autistics are angelic or special and blah blah blah. No,
we have to get away from them thinking
we have the full range of great
asshole tendencies,
all the way to just absolute dumbass jerks, assholes. Like we have to be able to be ready now. Okay, so I can also caveat this a bit too. Trauma can make this significantly harder, and if you've been dealing with trauma and you haven't been given the help to deal with that trauma, right, that can be much harder to do. But there's somebody putting their hand up. Yes,
I have a question.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Miss Plouffe.
Yeah, you down in the front.
Yeah.
Okay. Question about trauma. Have experienced it myself, so I have a full, and Maddie's aware of the extent. I actually don't think you're aware of the full extent, but you're aware of some of the extent.
Yeah.
So when I speak about trauma, I'm telling you, I got the certificate.
Yeah.
Do some people over traumatize trauma? Is the perception? So hang on.
Yeah.
So remember that thingy that we just did?
There's another word I would use instead of over traumatize. I think it's they glamorize the trauma that they've had. It's.
I think that's another lane. I agree with you. I think there is the glamorization, almost like the Munchausen by proxy, right? Where trauma becomes your calling card. And I was like that for a little bit. Don't get me wrong, folks, because when you talk about trauma and surviving it, it makes you look strong, where you're not weak, blah, 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 blah.
It's the difference between trauma as a crutch and trauma as a dressing, as a whole wedding gown.
Yes, I would say sparkly dress. Like
that's what I was thinking, but I think it was like basically you get the picture.
We could pull Barbie in because I used to have a Barbie. So my friend and I were going through the Barbies, and I had the Barbie that had the earrings, the necklace, the ring, and the beautiful pink dress. And I do remember thinking that was kind of chic. So I think it's weird Barbie versus stereotypical Barbie, and we need to get the Barbie in the middle who is like, yep, trauma's a thing, trauma sucks, keep moving on. How can I help people because I have experienced this trauma? But when somebody plays the trauma card as a reason for rude behavior or not achieving, or see, you're dropping your head because I'm having the same. That's where I get a little bananas, because I'm like, how I can't help you.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that I can't help you, but until you are willing to let that go.
Yeah.
Right. Like we were speaking with an individual yesterday. So part of what we do at Spiro right now is connecting individuals to jobs. We are not a recruitment agency. It's another story. And when I asked this individual about their job, their immediate story was about the trauma they had suffered at the job, not the skills they had learned, not the whatever.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
I get it too. Yeah.
You're coming off of, but so I stopped and said, okay, you immediately went to the bad thing. Yeah. And I said, again, I'm a trauma survivor. I get it. However, you can't let how that organization ran override what you learned.
Yeah.
If you continue to focus on the bad things that happened, it's going to be harder for us to work with you to pull out the positive skill sets. So I said, look at it this way. If we can get you past that, not negating the experience, own that, I get it. But you can give the finger to that asshole who made working for him hard and succeed because he was a jerk, and because you learned anyway, and because we can now connect you to something better.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's
so
there.
Like basically, I love Inside Out, the movie, for sharing the fact that you can have two feelings about the same thing, two experiences of the same experience.
100%.
It's like, the bad in one job is blue, and you're good, and the skills and the experiences that you got from it are red.
Really?
And you leave every job with a little bit of purple, right? There's no job that's fully great, and there's no job that's fully bad. I mean, there's one job that I had that I okay, I was gonna say I have almost no good positive things. It was at probably one of the worst points in my life that I took this, and I took this job simply because of the money they offered, and not because I thought this was gonna be a good fit for me. Just like, and I've never done that again. But it was not a great experience. It was all, the French was actually the predominant language spoken there, and I didn't realize when I was going in. It was just I struggled with what we were doing. I couldn't concentrate because of what was going on in my life, and I wasn't getting support for the time I needed at the same time I got this job. But I just realized, like, this is mostly the bad memories. But they had all you could eat food.
Okay, that's not what we're going for skill sets.
But what I'm saying is, it is sometimes hard to come away from an experience with
100% agree.
Yeah, so it's understandable, but you've either got to cut it and move on, like basically go back to the previous positive experience you had and put that aside, because if you don't, like, if you focus on the negative will follow you.
You got to reframe it.
If you focus on the strengths, if you focus on the skills, you focus on the good things, you have a better path to seeing the good things going forward. Again, it's stepping out while people can step in. It's a waltz.
Ooh. Okay, we can explore that in a second, because that was cool. I mean, you say a lot of cool stuff. You're very fuzzy right now, but
I know. I realize that. I when I move around, my camera does not like it, and I move around to talk. As my hands go,
oh, damn it! I worked for an organization. I got my postgraduate in corporate communications in 2013, so 10 years ago. Crazy. No, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nuts.
Everybody
And
at our age, everybody's 10 years can actually be 20, but we just like say, oh, okay.
oh no, it was literally no. I graduated in 2011, but the job for the high functioning sociopathic narcissist ended in January 2013. That was one of the most traumatic jobs I've ever had. I mean, full on 2 mental breakdowns, and I'm not a mental breakdown kind of gal. But what was interesting, or what has been interesting, is working really hard on changing my mindset. Because for about a year after, I was very mad. It took me 4 months to recover from that job. I've never had that happen in my life. And I've been working for 30 years or more. And that person was the reason I completely changed my perspective and became an entrepreneur, because I was never going to be at the mercy of a jerk face ever again.
Yep.
But what's come out of that, what I did was I changed my mindset, found the pink, and I made amazing connections who I am still in touch with today. I got connected to a technology community that I never would have otherwise, which has now been the foundation for being a technology founder. I ended up learning some great skills around just different things. And I also tested my moral compass. And what I mean by that is that I was asked to do things that went against my moral code, and stood my ground and was willing to quit the job rather than compromise that. And that wasn't adapting or accommodating. That was just a hard line of, I'm not lying to people for you.
Yeah.
I'm not stealing money for you. Like, I'm not doing any of that for you. That's a hard no. And I think that comes back to the pink, and that comes back to that recognition of who we are at our core. And when does it come out? Right? Like when do we become okay with, for me, things that are considered traditionally girly and what have you? And it's taken me until now, right? Like that trauma started early childhood of being given these, not trauma, that's too heavy, but that disconnect of, I don't know. So the opening scene, this is all I'll tell you, is the opening scene of the Barbie movie is a monologue and scenery. And I think it's Helen Mirren, who I just love. And these little girls playing with these dolls and all looking bored AF, which was exactly me. And then Barbie comes along and they start smashing the dolls. And I'm in the theater, VIP, by the way, going, yeah. Because I didn't understand. I didn't connect to that at all. And it was right then that I got made feel bad for not being a regular girl. Other girls play with dolls. Why don't you? Other girls like wearing dresses. Why don't you?
Yeah.
Other girls don't, talk back and run around like a banshee. And I used to do weird experiments in my room with milk to see if I could make my own cheese. I was watching Little House on the Prairie, and my Ingalls could do it. So all you have to do is let cheese or milk go bad. And I'd have like these little pill bottles of milk and turning them into cheese because my Ingalls could do it. And I was like, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, when you took the lid off of that thing. My parents were like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
instead of curds and away, it's curds and getaway.
Yeah. Oh, it was hard getaway. And my mom would be like, why would you do that? Well, I was trying to make butter. Like one time because all you have to do to make butter, by the way, is get a mason jar and whipping cream, shake the crap out of it for a good 15 minutes, and you'll be able to make butter.
Yeah. You get a bit of better butter.
Yeah. But that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do experiments, and I wanted to explore, and I wanted to do weird stuff, and shamed all over the place for not being a regular girl.
I think you get along with my sister. Like you guys have similar
weirdness.
disdain, as well as not quite fitting into that whole girl role. Like my sister and I, we did a lot of things together. We still have a lot of similar interests. Sometimes we used to pretend we were twins. Like we're 15 months apart, but we until the teen years where I stole all of her friends because we had similar interests in people. But like were
you somebody's beard?
We did a variety. Like I tended to want to do more of the typical feminine things, and she wanted to do typical more of the boy things. But so there was like this cross section of things that we enjoyed doing together.
Yeah.
That was in the middle, really. And hey, where do I find myself now in life? In the middle.
I see my brother's 4 years older than I am, and we do have some similar interests in that we both like to travel, we both like books, we both like, barbecuing and whatever. But it was never we were never put into the same things. I mean, I did baseball and he was in baseball because my dad was his coach and what have you. But I think it would have worked well for us had I not been forced to not do certain things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Wasn't allowed to take shop, wasn't allowed to take auto, wasn't allowed to take any of those things. And that caused me to rebel a bit in other ways because I was like,
yeah,
you're going to tell me I can't do that? Well, I'm going to do this instead. So I was the chick riding dirt bikes and crashing them and, doing whatever because I was like, two guns up. You're going to tell me I can't? I'm going to go do it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm the one that got arrested. I'm the one that did all that.
Wow. Okay.
I was that kid.
You're probably on those things that you get in Facebook, all of these things, like count them how you probably have a high number of almost.
Oh, my list is quite high. Heck, Have you ever been arrested? Yes. Have you ever ridden in the back of an ambulance? Yes. Have you ever do you have tattoos? Yes. Have you ever, skipped school? Yes. Have you ever? Yeah.
Yeah.
And most people come back and they're like, because I don't look like that person.
No, you don't. The more I've gotten to know you, the more I can see that, right? But
that's
you present yourself as a as a woman tech founder, which is a whole class of its own.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I've worked with a lot of women tech founders. No, I have because I've been in tech most of my adult life until the last 7 years, and so I suppose if I got to know them too, I'd probably have similar stories from them because it's
you have to have a stubborn streak.
Yeah,
you have to be willing. Here's the thing, which is what kind of gets me through some times that are not particularly pleasant.
You're the tech woman founder, Barbie. Yeah,
I like that. I want to get Weird Barbie, but Weird Barbie, Mattel's being a jerk. No, they're being an asshole. They're charging $72 for Weird Barbie. Like, I'm not paying $70. I'll make my own damn Weird Barbie.
People should have here's the regular Barbie and here's the Weird Barbie kit.
Well, so a friend of mine is extremely talented with crochet and knitting. She's making Barbie clothes, which of course is going to be a big thing this year. And so we've gotten her some Barbies. Yeah. So here's what she's doing for me, which is so sweet. And she puts her talent under a basket and it drives me banana pants. So back in the day, I used to do musicals and I did a musical called Little Abner. And I played a role that was originated by Julie Newmar called Stupefying Jones.
Okay.
Now, Stupefying Jones in the movie is in like very short shorts and a bustier and whatever, which was not appropriate for a 13-year-old. So back to the boobs. Back to the boobs, because that's why I got the role. They made me a skin tight gold lame dress that was, thigh high, and I wore a long black wig. Right. So you step out during the musical and you had to go ba-da-da-da-da-da, boom. Right. And so that's me shaking my hips, boobs out, like the whole whatever. Right. So my parents are in the audience. And I get off stage and de-stupefy and walk up to my dad, whose face is still registering 6 types of shock. And he's like, so that was an interesting costume. They'd asked 3 other girls who refused to do it. And I'm like, all right. Like, I think that's part of
Yeah.
You made a really valid point earlier around, presentation, what masking keeps us comfortable and what masking keeps society comfortable.
Yeah.
And I have always been a bit ballsy. Just came out that way. Don't ask me why. And I've never stopped to measure the social impact or the discomfort it might cause other people. I'm just like, sure, give it a go. So my friend is making me a Stupefying Jones Barbie.
Oh,
Is the point of that. So I'm going to take her. She's going to be in the office and people are going to be like, what's up with that? I'll be like, that was me when I was 13.
It makes me think of Beaches.
Yeah.
The young Bette Midler. Yeah.
Mayim Bialik. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the butt of that. Yeah. But it's not, I don't want to be ashamed of being ballsy anymore. I don't want society. Don't make me feel bad about that.
Yeah.
The speech, when you go and see it, the speech that America Ferrera gives in the Barbie movie about the unrealistic expectations that society places on women, every woman in the theater clapped.
Yeah.
At the end of it, every single one. And that was my life growing up, was you're too loud, you're too ballsy, you're not girly enough, you're not this, you're not that. So I masked for years.
Yeah.
Trying to fit into what stereotypical Barbie was expected, right? Made myself thin, did all the whatever.
Yeah.
And then I found my husband who liked me just the way I am. And I could stop some of that. His friends, because I was not stereotypical Barbie and all of his friends' girlfriends were, they told Michael, oh, you need to get rid of her. Who are we yelling at? Morning. That was nice.
That was my PSW.
They all told my husband, she's a bitch. Why? Because I don't kiss your ass? Because I say what I think? Because I don't ask my boyfriend for jewelry in order to have sex with him? Because that's what one of them did. Like,
yeah.
So, because I don't like liars, because just do your own shit. I don't care. Yeah. I'm not judging you. Just like I don't judge the ladies who enjoy I do judge the Botox puffy lip people. They freak me out.
Yeah.
Not just uncomfortable.
So everybody who says they don't judge people, most people, there's subconscious judging and conscious judging, and I think a lot of us subconscious do it because we're expecting to see a pattern with this pattern, and some of us have a wide version of what that pattern could or should be. Should
don't you should? I mean,
here we go. Judging happens in the shoulds.
Another one. Oh dang, you're on fire.
Because going back to a podcast we did several months ago, but it's honestly when we're comparing anybody or we're putting expectations on people, so society is shitting on us, and I think looking autistics, anybody that's diagnosed with autism or ADHD, because there's a lot of masking with ADHD, you in case, right? But it's double down when you're a female, when you're a girl. There's there's the societal expectations is so much narrower on females than it is.
No, the societal opportunities. So here's the thing: the societal judgment is vast.
Yes. You do this? No. You do this? No. What about this?
Everything's a no, right?
What's a yes?
And when you're one of those people who gives 0 Fs about somebody else's no's, then it doubles down. So no. The judgment criteria, vast.
It's true. Okay.
Vast.
Yeah. What I meant was
The
like
opportunity.
what the expectations. Yeah. What their expectations of what you could or should or blah 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 be is narrow because so the judgment's on everything else. So that's why whereas
opportunities are narrow, judgment vast.
Yeah, autistics experience a set of expectations. It's all based on what should a little boy be, right? Yeah, I did a very gay thing, and
you finger wag.
Oh, I did that. Yes, I know
this thing. Yeah. But that's true. But it's the exact same for autistics in that the judgment is vast.
Yeah.
The opportunities are narrow.
Yes.
Because societal expectations and societal misunderstandings and societal myths and misconceptions, just like the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this whole thing is Barbie movie. We will wrap up with had conversations with a couple of friends. And my one friend looked at me and she doesn't, this is not her traditional go-to, but she had a little bit of a sneer. When, the Barbie movie. And she looked like she'd smelled my stinky cheese experiments from my youth. And I said, hang on. You know me. I am not, at my core, I'm not really a frou-frou Hallmark, those Hallmark movies. But they're terrible. No judgment, but they're terrible.
Too much sap, not enough maple syrup.
It's the same thing every freaking time. Like
there's one or two filmed every year in Carlton Place.
I can imagine because it's probably the picturesque little town of it.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So I'm talking to my friend and I said, here's what I can tell you. I would go see it again. I just watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and that was 2.5 years, or felt like years, hours of my life. That, quite frankly, Marvel owes me money. It was terrible. But Barbie movie, I would see again. I said, because it explores boundaries. It explores opportunities. It explores the patriarchy. It explores roles. It explodes the myths around Barbie. I never even understood that Mattel had a woman founder. Oh, hello.
In a world of Kens, be a Barbie.
Damn straight. But that's what it's given back to me, is that I denied that for a very long time. I denied pink. I denied girly stuff, whatever, because I had grown up being told, you're wrong, you're different, you're not like everybody else. And so that's what I took on.
Yeah.
Was all right, well, you're telling me I'm wrong and different and everything else, so I'm going to be wrong and different and everything else, and screw all of you. Meanwhile, I secretly quite like pink, especially a darker pink. Not pink.
Close to violet, yes.
Well, I like a deep rose pink. So,
do you like rosé as well?
No, that's just weird wine.
I agree.
White. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Pick a team. Yeah, no. Rosé is like an LGBTQ wine.
Guys who go to bars too much end up with lots of ailments.
Oh, dang. I don't. Rosé is the beard wine. That's what it's a beard wine. It's masking being white. It's masking being red. You're not quite sure where it stands, but it's got alcohol. That's all I can tell you. I don't get it. Now, Maddie's non-binary and a member, so if he's laughing or they're laughing, then just don't judge me about my LGBTQ thing. Don't get mad. Don't write to the producer because that's me. And I won't care.
I swallowed.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I did set you up for that.
You did.
Yeah, I did.
This is a dirty podcast. We said the A word and everything. I don't know what to do. I'm all aflutter.
Well, yeah, we said the A word. Autistic. Ta-da!
So
for some people, it's just as bad.
That's a different. We're not R-rated.
No.
Not kinky. Part of the reason I wanted to share this is that I think masking has become identified with somebody like in the autism community And I'm not taking that away because I understand, believe me, I understand that that's a thing. Part of it is neurotypicals, ADD aside,
Yeah.
run into the same situation. It is not the same experience. I'm not claiming that by any stretch, but I can certainly have a grain of understanding. It's been through talking to Maddie and doing this podcast that I've come to some of those realizations. But honestly, the Barbie movie has changed my brain
That's awesome.
in
That is
such
so
a great
awesome.
way. Oh, here comes one of my dogs. I don't think my husband understands I'm working right now. Yeah. So I'm not a commercial for the Barbie movie. What I am saying is that there are opportunities that will come into your life to change your mind. There will come opportunities where you will see that adapting is not giving in. Adapting is not saying you don't need support, but adapting is an olive branch to a way to get a solution so that you don't have to mask.
Yeah.
You cannot expect the world to understand what you need. It just won't happen. You will never be in a position where you are going to get 100% accommodated without putting any effort in yourself. And that's what I've got to do a little bit right now is back to my pink and be okay with being a woman with big boobs. And
adapting isn't masking, it's growing. It's becoming, it's becoming the tree that's growing the branches as you're in the world around you. Masking is masking is a different thing. Masking is
agreed. But I wonder what causes more stress? Constantly masking because you refuse to adapt, and then you blame society for not accommodating, or trying to identify. And we're not asking you to change. We're not asking you to change who you are. We're not asking you to do whatever.
Change is the connotation of being different. Growing is what we
evolving.
Exactly. Yeah. When we grow into something, we're taking where we are to another level.
Yep.
When we're masking, we're actually making it harder, right? And we're basically, making it harder to grow.
The smarticle particles that come out of your mouth are just little mind bombs every time because, and sometimes I feel mean about my opinions. I raised my son I discovered later in life, very differently than most autistic parents come at it. And it wasn't until I read Temple Grandin's book. Oh my God, I'm having a moment. What's it called?
The Loving Push.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because we're going to be doing that soon.
Yeah.
That I was like, that's why he's as successful. Here's an example, folks, to wrap up. Yes, I've probably done some damage to my kid around hyper managing and forcing him to mask in some capacities. But for the most part, 90% of the time, I'd say confidently, he's himself and he's great. We live in Burlington. To put time on it, my son's new job is in Hamilton. It is a 20-minute car ride to his new job. His dad, and my son's just in the process of getting his G2, drove him to his job interview yesterday. It wasn't until 3. Michael had to get him there for 1 because he had to go to work. Dropped him off with his bike. My son biked home from Hamilton yesterday in order to make this job interview happen. The guy that he did the interview with was so impressed with Thomas adapting and getting there and being early and willing to do what it takes to get there. He offered him the job on the spot.
Yes. Always be early. You can almost never go wrong being early, but when you're late, you're always setting yourself off for you're always at least one step behind. And it's something that it's one of the biggest things I had to learn when I opened my computer store and I would do on-site service for people. I had one really good friends who were also my clients pull me aside and say, "Hey, we love the work you do, but when you're not reliable, it makes it harder for us to do that." And it just
knocks you back a bit, eh?
oh my God. And so when I've never had I grew up with procrastinators as parents. So being late was just the thing. And so it just changed something in me because I never had the understanding of the effect of it on other people.
Yeah.
And now when you're in relationships with other people, there's a cumulative effect of time. So there's the time that takes you, and then there's the time it takes other people, whether it's spouses or kids. But I've found that being on my own for the last 7 years, I've made it, if I'm going to be late, I tell people ahead of time, but I try to be early. Like for Zooms, I try to be there like 5 to 10 minutes because
you're usually in the room before.
Because I get distracted. And if I don't get myself there early, I may forget completely. So I've got to do that. So I've had to make changes to make sure I do that because I realized how important it is to other people and the effect of other people, unless they're from the Caribbean islands of being on.
No, don't.
No, okay. I was married to somebody from Trinidad, and all of her friends were from different islands, and it's a completely different culture. And I had a very difficult time.
But we're not going to.
Island time. Oh my God.
Island time. Actually, island time. I don't mind because that's not. I said it the other day.
Yeah.
We're getting on a little bit of a sidetrack here, but I said the other day, Jamaica time, and felt really bad. I know I mean island time. Thank you for that. Because it truly is, and I have visited a few of the islands. I mean, there's a thing with Thomas, and that it's the fact we never gave him. I shouldn't say that. We gave him accommodations on certain things, but more importantly, we helped him build the skills so that he could adapt.
Yeah.
Because we want him to be successful. We don't want him to have to depend on any service or anything like that. And we are fortunate, and I understand that he is, barely a level 1. He's very low support. But I think part of that is because as parents, we had expectations, we had flexibility, we had creativity, we had minor accommodation, but it was more teaching him the value of adapting and advocacy and those types of things. Again, Barbie movie is about adapting, man. Weird Barbie ended up in a house and she became like the wise Yoda Barbie. And I was like, solid. That's why I want to be Weird Barbie. I'm not paying for her, but I might make my own.
We'll have to have weird Barbie parties.
Pardon me?
Weird Barbie parties where everybody just gets plain Barbie dolls and then we have a whole bunch of stuff and we make them.
I like it.
Yeah.
They're cheap and valuable. Anyway, we're good.
So it's probably time to
it's 11:20.
Jazz hands. Yeah.
Jazz hands. So,
coffee is going to be arriving very shortly.
Oh, even more important. So thank you for joining us today. I know it might have been a bit of a weird ride, but it was more about assess your expectation.
Yeah.
Much like I'm encouraging my friends to not judge the Barbie movie before they go see it and have an opinion. Be open-minded when you meet other people. Be open-minded to adapting. Be open-minded to what are realistic accommodations and how the combination of that can make success. Also a theme in the Barbie movie, I might add.
Yeah.
And then if you've been masking something, I'm heading out later today to go buy something pink to wear because I've already proven that I'm a bit of a outlier. I don't need to.
When I did it, when I started doing it intentionally, it was freaking freeing.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm on your side. Plus, you look good in pink, so that's okay. Okay. Thanks, everybody. And if you've heard a lot of noise in the background, I apologize. I hope this is clearer than it's.
They're the only tweets we have left are the tweets of the birds around us. All right.
That guy needs to adapt. Moving on.
We want him to be the ex-owner of the.
That's why I don't go on that platform anymore at all. Yeah. He's just a nut. Anyway.
All
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now.